The full investigation report of Jamarcus Glover has been leaked. It's been leaked for 2 days, and nobody is talking about this. Jamarcus Glover is who the warrant was for when the police shot Breonna Taylor in her Louisville, Kentucky home. Now I gotta start out by saying, it's sad when somebody dies. Breonna Taylor had a mother. She was 26. That is a terrible, horrible situation. But the fact is, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. This report is the full 39-page investigative report. It was leaked by an anonymous source to tatumreport.com. Go check it out. I'll have a link down below. Tatumreport.com is run by Officer Tatum. He has a YouTube channel. It's amazing. You should check that out as well. But he was leaked the full report. Go read it. It's amazing. I sat down. I read it for a couple hours. It has everything in it, the whole investigation for several months. So we're going to get to the report and look at some of the big facts about Breonna Taylor. We're going to answer some of the questions that have been floating around in the media regarding the entire circumstance. But first, real quick, I want to look at some news articles. This one's from the New York Times. Here's what you need to know about Breonna Taylor's death. Fury over the killing of Miss Taylor by the police fueled tension demonstrations in Louisville, Kentucky, and elsewhere. The police had been investigating 2 men who they believed were selling drugs out of a house that was far from Miss Taylor's home. But a judge had also signed a warrant allowing the police to search Miss Taylor's residence because the police said they believed that one of the 2 men had used her apartment to receive packages. The judge's order was a so-called no-knock warrant, which allowed the police to enter without warning and without identifying themselves as law enforcement. This one from CNN. Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend has been arrested and says she had nothing to do with alleged drug trade. This is updated today, 2 days after this report has been leaked. Jamarcus Glover, Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend, was arrested on drug charges Thursday, a day after telling a local Kentucky newspaper Taylor had no involvement in any of the alleged drug trade. Glover was a focus in a narcotics probe by Louisville police that eventually led officers to execute a no-knock warrant on Taylor's home in March. He told the Louisville Courier-Journal on Wednesday that police used misleading and wrong information to obtain that warrant, during which Taylor, an EMT and aspiring nurse, was fatally shot. No drugs were found in her apartment. Quote, "The police are trying to make it out to be my fault and turning the whole community out here, making it look like I brought this to Breonna's door," Glover told the news outlet. Quote, "There was nothing never there or anything ever there, and at the end of the day, they went about it wrong way and lied on that search. They went about it the wrong way and lied on that search warrant and shot that girl out there," he said. Taylor's family and their attorney have maintained the 26-year-old black woman was not involved in her boyfriend's alleged drug trade. Not true. Alright, we gotta get to this report, because for months the major news media has been making Breonna Taylor a saint and vilifying police officers for this action. We've seen rioting in the street, billions of dollars in property damage, 32 people dead at this point, rioters carrying signs that say "Remember her name, Breonna Taylor, say her name, Breonna Taylor." So this was a big investigation into a narcotics ring over months. There's a lot of people involved, there's a lot of names. The names that you need to know for this are Breonna Taylor, the EMT, Jamarcus Glover, he was one of the ringleaders of the narcotics ring. He was also Breonna Taylor's previous boyfriend around the time of 2016. Adrian Walker, he is another one of the leaders of this narcotics ring. And then Kenneth Walker, who was involved in the ring and selling the narcotics, and he was the current boyfriend of Breonna Taylor at the time. So this whole thing starts in 2016 when the police are investigating a homicide. They found a homicide victim who was identified as one of Jamarcus Glover's drug-selling associates. They found him in a rental car rented by Breonna Taylor. They went to her house to question her. She said she didn't know anything about it, and while they were at the house, they saw Glover inside. Jamarcus Glover and Breonna Taylor had also used her address on bail bonds for him and on mail and on phone bills. Both of them had used her address as his permanent address. That is part of the reason of how they got the search warrant to search Breonna Taylor's house. They also got warrants to install cameras watching the house. They put a GPS tracking device on one of the vehicles. There's a lot of evidence. Go read the report, but there's plenty of cause for the police to search Breonna Taylor's house when they executed the warrant on all 3 houses at once. There's also evidence that Breonna Taylor not only knew about the ring and was a part of it by association, dating the two guys participating in it, but that she was helping to launder the money. Because she worked as an EMT, because she had a large income, she was purchasing things for them, paying their phone bills, renting cars. I believe she bought a car, it's in the report. She was doing things that could be considered within her income, within her financial means, and then they were giving the money from selling drugs to her to pay for it. The parts I'm going to show you of the report are transcriptions of phone calls between people that were involved in the drug ring, some of the people we just talked about. The phone calls were placed either the night of the arrest, while they were in holding, or the phone calls were placed while they were being held. They call it a dormitory, I'm assuming the prison, in the following days. This is Jamarcus Glover calling Kira Bradley, his child's mother, from the dormitory. Glover says to Bradley, "Where's my money at?" "Bree had like $8,000. Bradley to Glover, "Bree had $8,000 of your money?" Glover says to Bradley, "Yeah." Glover says to an unknown male that joined the call, "Tell, cuz, Bree got down like 15,000. She had the 8,000 I gave her the other day, and she picked up another 6,000. This is from a phone conversation between Adrian Walker and Glover. Glover says to Walker, "All right, if you watched me leave my baby's mama's house, why would you execute a warrant at Bree's house? Bree got that Charger and all that shit." Dodge Charger is a car that's been involved. "Bree got that Charger and all this shit. Bree's paper trail makes sense for everything she got, though." Glover says to Walker, "I don't understand how they serve a warrant for Bree's house when nothing ties me to Bree's house at all except these bonds." Walker says to Glover, "Bonds and cars from 2016. It just ties through. Look at the ties since 2016. Ever since Rambo, the homicide victim, and the camera right there, they've seen an NF'er pull up." This is from the same conversation between Walker and Glover. Glover says to Walker, "No, Bree don't. Bree don't. Bree don't. Bro, you know how Bree do. They didn't find nothing in her house." Walker says to Glover, "I thought you said they found some money over there." Glover says to Walker, "It was there. It was there. It was there. They didn't do nothing, though. That's the problem. Kenneth said ain't none of that go on." Walker says to Glover, "So they didn't take none of the money?" Glover says to Walker, "Kenneth said that none of that go on. He said that homicide came straight on the scene and they went to packaging Bree and they left." This is from Bradley calling Kira Glover, his child's mother, from the dormitory he was being held in. Bradley says to Glover, "They got Bree's address on all your stuff. When I was bonding you out, that's your address." Glover says to Bradley, "Bree had me on a bond already. She had my bond from old cases. Not that 2018 stuff. Not that old stuff. She did Big D, Adrian Walker, bond when Big D was in jail. I don't know how her address on all my paperwork. They got that address long time ago in 2016 when I was just staying with her then." This is a conversation between another man who was arrested, charged, and involved by the last name Bowman. He's talking to his mother. Bowman says to his mom, "Cryin' F you mean. That money's in her name. Everything's in her name right now. It's over. We fired up for real. They killed Breonna." So the police had a warrant to search her house, along with two others that night, because both her and Glover had listed that as his address. And it wasn't this no-knock warrant that everyone keeps talking about, but it seems if they had had an actual no-knock warrant and just broken in, the reason for no-knock warrants is to not give anyone time to go get a gun, to flush drugs, to be able to try and fight back as your home is raided against the police when you're suspected like that. Maybe she'd still be alive, man. But Bree was not innocent. She was involved in some serious shit. She was laundering money for them. She was holding money for them. In the conversations I read, they're trying to figure out where the money is after they got raided. They all say that she had it. And in another part of the transcript, talking to each other about her death, they even mentioned that her mother knew about everything that was going on, about how her mother was against her being with Adrian and getting caught up in all of the drug dealing. It's sad, man. It really is. But that's what happens when you're involved with selling drugs. They were charged with selling cocaine and fentanyl, and marijuana was in their possession as well. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And because we couldn't have a little bit of patience and wait for the investigation to finish and get the full details on this, we have had riots, property damage, people getting killed in the riots. People have been talking about this for months, making her a martyr, saying she was completely and totally innocent. When now we can see that all of this destruction and death and chaos and lies from the media, they're because she was involved. They're because she was not innocent. They were because the drug trafficker had her house as a resident. She was helping. She was laundering their money. And it's just sad that all this death and chaos comes from the media lying about this. Hit that like button, subscribe. Please share this video. I think a lot of people need to know the truth on this. Again, the full report is online. Link below. Go check it out. Thank you.